The Irish Stallion was born into a life of racing. His parents, both champions on the course, had bred him to be the best horse ever.
He was strong, determined, and had a will to win every time.
He was taken to the racetrack as a young colt, and under the training of the best trainers in the land, his potential began to show. In the first competition he entered, he won first place, propelling him onto the path of greatness. Word spread of the amazing horse that could run faster than the wind, so it was no surprise when he was invited to compete in the most prestigious race in the country, the Irish Grand National.
Here he would have his chance to prove himself against the greatest horses in all of Ireland.
On the day of the race, the sky was clear and blue, a perfect backdrop for the highly anticipated event. When he was brought out of his stable onto the track, the crowd roared with excitement.
Here was the stallion they hoped would bring glory back to their country.
When the race began, the Irish Stallion was ahead of the pack, and all eyes were on him. The other horses simply couldn't compete with his lightning, fast speed and determination. Every stride he took was longer and surer than any other horse on the course.
As the stallion galloped towards the finish line, the crowd was screaming and clapping, united in their admiration of this courageous animal.
Suddenly, the energy changed, and everyone grew silent as the stallion crossed the finishing line, easily winning the race and becoming the champion of the Irish Grand National. In the days following his victory at the Irish National, the stallion's fame soared. Everyone wanted to know who this incredible horse was and what drove him to be the fastest on the course. It wasn't long before invitations started pouring in from around the world, inviting him to take part in other high-profile races. After months of travel, the stallion found himself in France at l'Arc de Triomphe, the most prestigious race in Europe. With the home crowd behind him, he felt ready to take on the challenge, but his competitors were fierce. This time, he knew it wouldn't be easy to win. The starting bell rang, and the horses shot off down the track.
Soon the Irish stallion was far ahead of the pack, his legs pounding the ground like thunder. He was unstoppable, taking each hurdle with ease and clearing them with grace.
As he reached the home stretch, the French crowd roared in anticipation of the winner. But suddenly, from behind came a dark horse, one that was faster than the wind and more determined than the Irish stallion. With the finish line in sight, the competition was fierce and neck and neck. The two horses raced side by side, their hooves pounding the dirt and hearts racing. As they neared the finish line, the Irish stallion surged forward, crossing the line just a few seconds before the dark horse.
He had done it again. He had come first and won l'Arc de Triomphe.
The international press descended on the countryside, keen to interview this champion stallion. Everywhere he went, he was treated like a hero, his image celebrated in newspapers and magazines across the globe. He had become a legend and the fastest horse alive. The stallion continued his travels, and soon it was time for him to go back home for the last race of his career, the Irish Derby.
He was welcomed back with cheers and adoration, as everyone wanted to see the little horse that could. Would he win again and complete an illustrious career?
On the day of the race, the atmosphere was electric. Horse and rider were ready to take on the challenges and put on a show. As the race began, the Irish stallion led the way, leaving the other competitors in the dust and crossing the finish line in record time. He had done it!
He was the winner of the Irish Derby and the fastest horse alive.
The crowd erupted, cheering and celebrating the stallion that had made dreams come true. The jubilant atmosphere continued late into the night as people danced and sang in honor of this brave and noble animal.
He had taught us that with dedication and courage anything is possible.
The Irish stallion returned home to spend the rest of his days. However, his legacy continues. To this day, his descendants still compete in competitions all over the world.
They all strive to follow in his footsteps, carrying on his tale of ambition and hard work. His great-grandchildren are now some of the finest horses in the business. reigning champions in all the major races in Europe.
This year, a dark horse of his family tree is vying for the title of fastest horse alive, the same title that he once claimed.
The time has come for the final race of the season, and anticipation is in the air.
Riders and mounts alike are eager to take on the challenge and show off their speed and skill. As the starting bell rings, the Irish Stallion's great-grandchild begins its journey towards greatness. The race is long and grueling and the competition fierce, but eventually the dark horse crosses the finish line in first place, setting a new world record. Applause and celebration ensue, and the announcement is made. The title of world's fastest horse is once again bestowed upon a descendant of the legendary Irish Stallion. Back in Ireland, the old champion listens to the news with a proud and emotional heart.
He reflects on all his accomplishments, remembering all of the challenges he has faced and conquered along the way. And somewhere in the distance, a whisper echoes through the wind. The legend lives on.